Okay, so we have these two duplicated pieces that I created, and I was about to duplicate David. So it is Command D, duplicates them. And the idea is I don't want to cut apart my only copy of him. And we want to strategically cut pieces of him off. So the first thing I can tell right away is this thigh and this hand, they're going to have to be kind of grafted together. In the interest of time, I'm using the magnetic, not the magnetic, but the angular lasso tool. There is not a magnetic lasso tool in this program, as you have seen possibly in other programs. I kind of did that excessively. In the case of this, I'm just simply going to remove all of that leg, hit delete and get rid of it. And things like this arm, I can cut the whole arm off and away from the body. Need to make sure I select it just right. And detach that away and from the body. This opposite arm is going to work pretty good too. It's going to be an easier cut. This one I'm going to immediately remove a piece of. So I'm going to double click this, hit Q, and shrink this somewhat. You have to make sure you don't select the wrong part. It's a little tricky. About that should give me enough arm to operate with. And it's easy. The rest of this just, basically the rest of David needs to be obliterated. Because David has multiple colors, like many of your characters may have, he becomes a little more time-consuming to cut apart. I am going to keep this opposite leg that is here, because I think that that's the one we're going to use for animating him with. So looking at David, I've got several puppet pieces that I've constructed. He's asymmetrical, which in the case of an animated piece for a video game, it works quite brilliantly because he's able to easily be used as something in three-quarter view. Even though his head, ideally, we would see a little more of the right eye, he's still going to work pretty brilliantly just as he is, as he's fabricated. I believe this cutting tool that I've designed here will work equally well for this shoulder as well. I want to try to align this pretty closely. So I haven't had to rescale that particular tool since I started using it. I'm going to switch back to this selection tool to just kind of cut out this kind of stuff that looks like underarm vomit. It's not going to be easy to select by click selecting. I'm going to hit V as in victory. It's a bit of an armpit left over. I'm not going to stress about that for the time being. I just don't think that's too critical to worry about. So cleanup is going to take as long as you want to give it. For the purposes of the demo, I'm going to not take forever. Okay, so that's there. Now, of course, we probably don't want the genitalia there, so I will remove that, and we'll create kind of a cuff. You recall earlier we used the paint behind to create some patches for missing parts of David. We're going to do a similar thing now. I'm going to hit V as in victory. You have to select and deselect your tools as you go through this. See, this isn't going to fit here. As long as I keep it highlighted, I can keep modifying the size of it. So then enlarge this up so that it kind of creates sort of a hip stump there. See, that kind of nicely fills that in. I can do one of two things. I can do paint behind, or I can hit K. K is the fill tool for this. And if I click on this here, I can select kind of this thigh color. And if I click on this, that fills it. Now, if you ever have trouble filling, Flash has a very sensitive fill setting. The nice thing is you can modify it quickly by going through these various things like don't close gaps, close small gaps. I chose don't close gaps because I know that this is a very kind of perforated, jagged edge of pixels from this being a bitmapped image originally. So by doing it this way, I avoid just a little bit of data. Hitting V again, to select this and move this out of the way. So we've got kind of some pieces of David. Going to go ahead and quickly duplicate him again just to